What is going on, you guys? Welcome to today's video. It is absolutely perfect out, and it looks like the perfect day to manual swap a Mark II. At this point in time, I believe I have everything necessary to go from an automatic 3-speed to an 02 5-speed in the Mark II. All that's left to do, just do it. So depending on how efficient I can work and how much the car wants to fight me, this could be done today, more than likely tomorrow, but again, everything goes very smooth. I work very quickly. We could have a 5-speed Mark II on our hands today, which I'm so excited for. So I need to move the wagon out of the way, get the Mark II spun around, and then it's game time. This will be our final startup with the car being automatic. Hopefully it starts first try. I really don't want to have to be smacking. I don't want to do that. Hopefully it just starts. Kidding me. You know, you're about to get a manual swap, and this is what you do on the last one? On the last one? Come on now, come on, you're kidding, you're joking. Now I gotta smack a starter. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not. I might have briefly mentioned it, but I'm tired of doing this. No. Oh, it's gonna be a long day. Today is just not my day. You're about to get a manual swap. Why are you doing this? Come on. For one good smack here. You're so annoying. Well, I think that auto starter might be all the way gone at this point. Car has been sitting. It hasn't been running, but maybe it's just like all the way dead. Oh, I hear my sound now. Maybe that's good. I hear it like almost turn, but it's not enough. Why are you doing this today? Of course, on the last day of this car being automatic, and I just needed to start one final time, it refuses to do so. Love to see it. If you don't know and why I'm manual swapping this car, this is a 1.8 3-speed auto. The starter is behind the engine in the worst place possible. It's between the block and the exhaust, and it's just way too hot back there, and I'm pretty sure we fried the reman starter. An OEM one might fix the problem, but I'm taking everything out, going to a manual. Starter will be up here, and if the car doesn't ever start, we can always pop start the car, which with the automatic you can't do. So I just need you to start one more time so I can spin you around and then yank this out. But I don't know, you want to do this today. This is our day. So I got a little bit angry and I hit the starter solenoid really hard. And yeah, now she works, so that's good. But again, this whole randomly not starting is just, I'm not about it. I don't want to do it anymore, so it's all going away. And exactly why I wanted to go away on the last day. I just need to move the car over a little bit, and it does that. Like, it's all got to go. Gonna do one last trip around the block as we say our final goodbye to the automatic, which in the car's defense, the automatic transmission is fine. It's just the starter that's so stupid and the only issue. All right, back in the garage. This will be her final resting place until she's manual swapped. So let's do the honors and done. So if you are someone who wants to swap your Mark II from an automatic to a manual, this is what you're going to need. Now, I've done a bunch of Mark III swaps, never a Mark II swap, but I believe I have all the pieces necessary to finish this swap and just not be missing anything. If I am, I'll let you guys know, but I think I have everything necessary for the swap. So first and foremost, we have the 5-speed manual transmission. This is an 020 out of a Mark III. You can do one out of a Mark II. You can go up to even Mark IV. You have to have this supporting stuff like the O2J shifter box, but any 4-cylinder transmission will fit to your 4-cylinder. But this one we're going with is the 020 5-speed out of a Mark III. That's our transmission right there. We have the flywheel, the front engine mount, and the starter over there. This is our brand new clutch kit. You can see all this is nice and new. We have the rest of the bushings and stuff that go to this side of the transmission's linkage. We have the manual pedal box right here and the shifter box. This should be everything necessary to go from a 3-speed auto to a 5-speed manual. Now, one thing I should have grabbed just in case, I was told the axles in this car will meet up with this transmission, no problem, but the car I pulled it from had the axles. I should have grabbed them just in case these don't work, but in that instance, I'll go down there, grab them, bring them back up. But I think we're good. Fingers crossed they work, but I think we'll be all right. Other than that, yeah, this is all of our stuff for our swap. All we need to do, yank everything out, toss everything back in. Sounds easy enough? Let's begin. All right, so step one, the car is up on jack stands and ready to go. I think I'm gonna start with the most annoying part of this entire swap, which is the pedals under the dash. I hate working down there. This is all kind of still hot because I just worked over here, so I'm gonna let this cool down just a little bit. But I think step one will be getting up in there, which you guys know I love working under the dash. I will say though, the Mark II pedal box is much easier to remove than the Mark III, so shouldn't be too bad. So we're gonna start with the pedals, get those swapped in, and start pulling apart our center console. And then after that, it should be cool enough down here. I can go ahead and pull the exhaust off, drop the box out of there, and we can start unbolting the transmission and get her out of there. Okay, so changed my mind, decided I did not want to start under the dash because it's just gonna annoy me and kind of ruin the entire day. So I'll say that for very, very last when everything else is done. But we're gonna start in the engine bay. Wheels are already off, and there's no necessarily right order to pull this apart. At the end of the day, you need it all out regardless of where you start. Doesn't really matter. All right, first update. Both axles have been disconnected and our ball joint down here has been disconnected from the control arm. So these pull forward just enough that they're not touching the transmission anymore, so that's good. Up towards here, the battery's been pulled out. Our ground has been taken off of this piece right here, and then working down over under the front section here, I pulled that front shield off, giving me more room to all these. So this one here with the single nut on it, this is the one that goes from your gear selector, which connects right into this one right here. So that one's out. Also, the car's in neutral. That if I need to spin it to do the flywheel or the torque converter in there, we can still do that. And then this one here comes from the throttle cable that connects to this upper one right there. Simply just pop that off. And there's another bracket on the top. Let me show you. This one right here, this cable connects to the lever arm down at the bottom, which goes through up to here. So I gotta figure out how it's gonna work for the manual car, because in the automatic car, the throttle cable comes from the gas pedal down through to this, which pulls up on the lever, which pulls on the second cable that goes to here, where the manual car will go from the gas pedal right to this one right here. So got to figure that out, but shouldn't be too difficult to do. I have both cables, the manual cable and the automatic cable, so we can figure that out. But for the most part, the front side of the transmission is disconnected. Everything is off. All this just goes kind of above everything. So axles off, front of the transmission done. The transmission is being supported with the jack stand under the car. And next we'll do, I guess we can go ahead and start doing, we have the rear mount to do, the front mount to do, the bolts around the transmission, and then it should be loose and ready to come down, hopefully. I think all wires, actually no, I have the speedo cable in the back still, back there to disconnect. We need to disconnect this one, this yellow one, which is the wiring for the starter solenoid, and then this one is the power to the starter itself. So those two must get disconnected, and then after that, I think everything else is off and out of the way. I'm pretty sure the heat shield back there is bolted to the starter itself, so it'll all come down together, I think, if I remember correctly. If not, I'll be back there again, pull the heat shield on the starter off, and then after that, I think we're ready to do the big bolts and start separating. All right, we are currently working on the front two engine mount bolts. There's 17. There's a 15 on the top going down to the mount, and there's two 17s on the side. which is where the manual starter will go once it's in the car. Oh, come on. There she is. So for the most part, we're pretty close. I got the Speedo cable, which is this one right here, that pulled out. And also it's definitely different, or I unscrewed to the top of it, but looks very different from the manual one, which I do have the manual cluster and I have the manual Speedo cable, so it looks like we'll have to swap all that out for sure. But that's why I grabbed it. So we're almost there. Just gonna go around the transmission, get these bolts out, and make sure the heat shield's not on the way. We can, at that point, hopefully drop this thing out of here with not too much trouble. And then the fun part will be inside the car, which I think today the goal is to have everything off the car. So transmission out, cluster out, shifter box out, and pedals out. Just all the automatic stuff out of the car. And by tomorrow we can come back and hopefully get the everything put back in. Depending if we're not missing anything or any of that kind of fun stuff, which I don't think we are. This one might be underneath the car bolt. I don't know if I can get the right angle from here. Oh yeah, whew. That's definitely gonna be under the car bolt. Ah, the sound of success. Automatic starter, the absolute worst thing in the entire world. So earlier today I had said I hit the starter really hard and the car started, but this is how hard I hit it. I punched a hole straight to the top right by the solenoid. But it doesn't matter because this thing it's the worst. It is the absolute worst design to put it back there. An OEM one might have been better, but like the whole thing's had to go. Trash. So now with the starter out of the way, we can now remove the heat shield that's back that's attached to the starter, which you can only remove the heat shield with the starter out of the way, which is super annoying in itself. And then behind the starter there's a hole you can see through where the flex plate's attached to the torque converter. There should be 3 bolts on that. I have to rotate around, undo each one, and then after that we're good to split the transmission off of the engine. I have one more bolt in this rear mount over here. I have the jack stand holding the engine and the jack holding the transmission. That when the bolts are off, we can lower it down slowly. And I believe that's everything. And if it's not, we will find out as soon as the transmission comes down, whatever's stuck, then we'll go ahead and disconnect that. Okay, at this point, I think we are ready to attempt to separate the transmission off of the block. I went ahead and pulled the fan shroud out to get the front mount. You can see is now out, and they're both over here. Fan shroud and front mount, which the automatic front mount is different compared to the manual one. So make sure you have that. But all the bolts on the bottom side that connect the torque converter to the flywheel have been disconnected. There's 3 of them. They're 10s. Axles are off. Rear mount has been unbolted for the transmission, but it's still bolted to the mount spot. But it should be able to drop down. Otherwise, I might take that last bolt and back off of there as well. But other than that, all wiring, all everything is disconnected. So get our pry bar in there, and hopefully it splits. All right, we are close. You can see big old gap between the block and the transmission. You can see the flywheel down there. I got that rear mount, the back one in the corner. That one's now out of the way. This axle up out of the way, that axle out of the way. Look down here, we can see the whole thing is kind of hanging down. I believe we need to go to the right just a little bit more to clear the flywheel, let the jack down, drop the entire thing down. I think we're just about there. Whew. Got her. And there's oil going everywhere. Love that. Thank you, torque converter. Appreciate that. Automatic transmissions suck. They're so big and so bulky. And the whole backside of this thing was stuck on the subframe. But we got it. I got a giant mess too. Love that. Love that. Alright, well, here is my massive mess. Cat litter now everywhere, soaking up all the oil. And there is our torque converter on the ground. And then this massive thing This thing's huge. Look how big the back of this thing is. And look at, compared to our manual, this thing's gigantic. Way too big. I'm looking for where the axles flanges are. It looks like we should be good for stock axles. Looks like the same distance between the two. I'll actually measure and double check, but looks okay. Also, look at this. You can see where the flange is back there. All of this is just caked on like mud and dirt. Look how much on the ground down there. It was just falling off the entire time I worked on this car. There's so much caked on stuff. It's crazy. But thankfully, this thing is out. I guess someone wants it. I'd probably sell this because I mean the transmission is good. It's just you need to get a better starter, or I don't know what to do with the starter thing. But the transmission itself is good. Or I'll just scrap it. I have no idea. I have no use for it anymore. It needs to go away, and I have to clean up this massive mess. I don't know if I want to try and tackle the inside tonight, because as you can see, there's no more light left, and this garage has not much light for it, so we might call it a night for now, and then come back tomorrow, yank all of that out, yank the pedals out, and then we'll go through and start the process of tossing all the manual stuff in, which will be much easier, because again, this thing is so much smaller and so much lighter than this tank. I still don't know why, and this would have been fine. I just don't know why they put the starter back there. They could have just put it on the front side, but they did all this other stuff, and this unnecessary. Highly unnecessary. So yeah, I think I'll end this video right here. End of day one. Transmission is out. Tomorrow will be shifter box, pedal set, the cluster, and that will be everything tied to the automatic transmission. Then we go back through, repeat the process backwards, putting the manual shifter box in, manual pedals, manual cluster, and transmission, the clutch set, and then yeah, so this might be a 2-part series. It might be a 3-part series depending on how tomorrow goes, but I think we're on a pretty good track. There's really no need to rush anything. I want to do it right the first time, and I think we're on a pretty good track so far. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Do not forget, be thankful for every single day. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.